Welcome to the Pathways to Profitability podcast, personal tales of business success, where we hear local business owners' personal stories of their trials and tribulations that got them to where they are today. Here's your host, Cheryl Mucha, CEO of CFO Your Way.
Hello, and thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Our guest today is Erin Marcus of Conquer Your Business. Erin, thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited about our conversation.
Thanks, Cheryl. I'm awesome. I'm excited to be here too.
So I like to just start with a little bit about who Erin is and a little bit about the business, and then we'll see where the conversation leads us.
Awesome. We can go full on origin story here, like in the great path of Marvel, right? What's the origin story? I laugh because it's one of those things where when you look back, my life is so segmented, it doesn't make sense.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't make sense. And then as I got older, I realized all these experiences made it possible for me to do what I do.
Right? And that's the journey, right?
Isn't that crazy? Like in the time you're like, how did this, like, this has nothing to do with each other. I laugh because I say, I grew up in Chicago, public school, 70s and 80s. The cool thing about that was the immigration waves. I grew up, my brother and I counted once with people from 22 different countries.
Oh, wow.
And kids who weren't born here, right? So nobody spoke English. And the beauty of it was, oddly enough, nobody had any money. Nobody had anything. So everyone was somewhat in survival mode, which just put everyone on a level playing field. Right. And what I learned was people are just people. You figure out how to communicate with each other. It's actually not hard.
Right.
And then somewhere along the path, things went slightly awry, and I became what I call now a professional juvenile delinquent. It means I made money at it, right? Hence the term professional. Right. Made things very interesting. But what I've decided, having no children, what I've decided is the goal of having children is to get them to some version of adulthood without screwing things up so bad that they can't recover from it. Like if we just do that, right? I was a lunatic, but I didn't do anything so bad that I couldn't recover from it, right? You get to college, it's more interesting. But what happened along the way is somehow it kicked in that whatever I wanted my life to be, I was going to have to make it.
Right.
It wasn't going to be handed to me.
Right. But look at the skills, like communicating with other children with a total language barrier.
Just and no Google Translate. And no Google Translate.
Like I just picture like two 8-year-olds out on the playground and living life in full of joy and interacting without using words.
And I'll tell you that skill came in very handy many decades later when I was lost in southern France. I had my bus map, right? I had my map and I had where I was staying.
Was that map on paper?
It was, oh yeah, of course it was. Decades, right? Several decades later. Map on paper, and I had circled where I was staying, and I literally would go up to strangers, point at my map, and then go like make the universal sign for I don't understand what's going on, right? Shrug. And then they would look at the map and they would point where I was, and then they'd point to where I needed to go. And it would
and then
work.
Give a thumbs up. Thank you so much.
Right? And you're off, right? You get on the bus, you go to the next step. Yeah, I mean, and again, somewhere along the line, I figured out it's very interesting when I look back because I've never thought that I couldn't have whatever I wanted. I've never thought that. So I think there's a lot of people in the world that don't think they can have anything. I didn't have that problem. I knew I could have whatever I wanted, but I also knew I had to create it.
Right.
And that's where the achiever came. So I did okay in college. It was more interesting than high school. I was in a less, distracting environment. We'll just call it that. And so I did better. But then when I went into the working world, I would just do a good job. It led to the next promotion. It led to the next door opening, right? And all of that experience, getting to the C-suite in corporate, getting an MBA, then owning a franchise,
Hmm.
I owned a franchise, and it was my success in corporate, the education, the formal education that I finally got, and the small business owner experience that I had,
Right.
that all combined, right? All combined. And a focus in marketing, right? We finally focused in on something, a focus in marketing, a focus in business strategy,
Right.
several massive missteps. I called 2018 Erin's year of failure, right?
But all that was needed to get you to today.
Yes, and it's
And
so
that's the journey,
interesting.
right?
That's the journey, and it's so interesting that it took this long. As aware as I try to be, as much as I study the self-improvement journey it takes to actually be a successful business owner, I call it Erin's year of failure, and obviously I say it tongue in cheek because I've resolved the emotions. I couldn't have said it this way in the year and during that time. It took me a few years to get over it, but through my conversations with other people on my own podcast and being on as a guest, several people have now pointed out to me, and it finally clicked. It was really the year of figuring out what the heck was going
Right.
on. What was I supposed to be doing?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
without that, I couldn't be doing this.
Right. And it's the peaks and valleys, not only of life, but of business, right? And in those valleys is when you are able to feel the pain, get over the pain, and come out shining
Right.
even
And
brighter than you went in.
the phrase that there's two things I'm holding on to now because I'm coming off of another like growth edge
Mhm.
experience. We've changed the business. I've brought more team on. Like it's the next iteration of the
Right.
business, which is always hard. Um, but the two things that I've been keeping front of mind is
Mhm.
the visual of the apple tree analogy. Like, these are not my original thoughts, but these are great tools,
All
right?
right.
The apple tree analogy, it grows under the ground for years and years and years. You
Right.
don't see it.
Right.
You don't see it. You don't see it, but all the work is being done.
Right.
And then once it bursts through, it feels like instantaneous.
Right.
Right? So, I look at my you'll love this. I look at my finances each month, and I do all my numbers, and I go, "Look, another root building month." Like, right? If you can't laugh, you cry. So,
Yay! I
right,
will bite into an apple, right?
I'm not an this look, an apple fruit bearing month, yay! And then sometimes it's like, "Oh, look, building more roots, building more roots." Right?
I love that though, because you don't think of life in that
No.
perspective, right? Like there's still, we're still growing and we're still maturing and we're still figuring out our shit, right?
Right. So it's a
And
root building month.
right, and all that is needed
Right.
to create what we've created.
Because you can't create huge, amazing, successful things on a shaky foundation. You
Exactly.
can't. Right.
Exactly.
So, and then the other saying that I have grabbed onto lately is this idea that the redirection is for your protection. The things that didn't work were not supposed to work.
Right.
This or something better, right? Like, the things that didn't work were not supposed to work
Right.
because that's not the way, and you can assign the creation of that to whoever you want,
All
God,
right.
spirit, whatever is your
Whatever your
driving
belief
force,
system is, right?
whatever your belief
Yeah.
is. But the redirection is for your protection. This idea that the things that aren't working right now in my business are not working very, very intentionally, not by my intention, mind you,
Right.
not my intention, so that it pushes me to do the thing that's supposed to happen.
Right. And in those things that are not working, there's a lesson. There's always something
Yeah.
that molds us to
And
be and get out.
yeah, and learning, right? You have to learn how to decipher between when you're supposed to, when the redirection is for your protection, and when you haven't tried hard enough.
Right.
And that's a feeling. That's a physical feeling. If you learn how to, and pay attention, I say become an observer of your own behavior. You learn through analysis of what happened.
Right.
What was me listening to my very good instinct and letting something go, and what was me not trying hard enough and giving up, right? And how do I call those my bumpers and my gutters, right? Keep those bumpers so I don't fall off too far on either side, but it's not a straight line, so you just go bouncing down the lane, trying to stay in between those two things. Because one of the mistakes I'm watching happen right now over and over and over and over again is, the truth of the matter is, the economy right now is such that the bottom third, I'm calling it the bottom third of any market is just gone.
Right.
Financially, the bottom third of any market is just gone. I just paid $4 for a can of dog food that I paid $1.89 for not 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom third of every market is gone. And I am watching small business owners think, well, if I just hit the nail harder, it'll work. But if you're servicing a market that is gone, that has a bigger problem than what you solve, it's not going to work.
Right.
So how do we take this idea of redirection for my protection so that I'm marketing and serving the right audience?
Great concept. We don't think of these things until we have conversations like that, right? And to your point of just work harder.
Oh,
No,
God,
it's not just work harder. It's
never just
pivot. Like, during COVID, the big word was pivot, right? But it's true. You need to redirect those efforts.
It's the questions as a business owner you should be asking yourself anyway.
Right.
They're just currently more important. It's harder to business right now.
Yep.
So if you've been in reaction mode, if you don't reverse engineer your business, if you don't reverse engineer from what do you want to how do you make it happen, you're going to have more building root months than you need to. Right? That is necessary right now. But these are the questions you should be asking yourself. But instead of asking yourself them once a year during your annual planning session, these are questions you need to be asking yourself every month, every week, every day as you set your stage. I call it setting my stage every day for better decision making, for figuring out, am I giving up or is it just for my protection?
Right. And this is how you work with your clients to conquer their business, right?
Yeah, like the whole concept of conquer your business. And the reason it's such a strong statement is my tagline is be in charge, right? Be in charge, take action, get results. And I absolutely promise it's not in charge of anybody else. I can't even tell you how much I have zero desire to be in charge of anybody else. Like, I am whatever the opposite of a control freak is over other people. That's me. Like, go away, do whatever you're going to do. I don't want to be not my circus, not my monkey. But that being said, it's my version of personal responsibility.
Right.
Going back to that childhood understanding of I could have whatever I want, but I'm going to have to create it. Nobody's going to hand it to me.
Right.
And that's what it is. Conquer, like, make your decisions, decide what you want, figure out, find the help or the self-reflection or whatever it is to get there, and then take all the actions, and then get results, not the results you want, right? We've already established most of the results we get are not the results we want. Can absolutely guarantee that. But get those results so that you have more information so that next time around, you're making better decisions.
There's apples on the tree, right?
There's apples on the tree. I promise. They eventually come. They do eventually come.
Yeah, I love it. And I don't remember where I saw it on your website, on LinkedIn, probably both places. You help business owners go from solopreneur to being a real business owner. So how do you define the difference between solopreneur to business owner? Because so many solopreneurs think of themselves as business owners, right?
And they might be. There's a real easy test. There's actually a really easy test. If everything that happens in your business bumps up against you before it gets to happen, you're not a business owner. if everything in your business is in your head, right? Your business is just in your head, not like you're imagining it, but your processes and how everything happens is in your head, then you're not a business owner. You're getting there, right? You're getting there. But it takes getting over the bridge, right? Getting over the bridge from solopreneur to business owner. And I say it is a bridge, right? You have to get across the bridge.
Right.
And the bad news is it's not a pretty stone over a stream garden bridge. It's the Indiana Jones bridge, right?
With missing rungs and
Right.
and
If there's a
frayed-
guy with a
frayed
sword
rope.
on the other end, right? You're not sure what to do about that. It's being held together by two. So you can't stay on the bridge because the bridge is falling apart. And it's
And you
true,
can't
right?
run across the
You
bridge
can't run
either.
across the bridge. You got to
Right.
be very, very not slow, but intentional. You
Right.
don't have to do it slow. Slow won't work, but you have to be intentional. Most people turn back.
Right.
Most people turn back.
Yeah, and I've had said to me many times through the course of my 11 years in business, Cheryl, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Oh, I love that. If it was easy, I used to. So my weird background, because you can't tell by video, but I'm only 5 feet tall. I was like 100 pounds soaking wet for most of my life. And I started at 19. From 19 to about 45, I did competitive powerlifting and
Mhm.
bodybuilding. And we used to say that in the gym. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Right. Right. It's
Right.
anything in life.
Because we look at all the beautiful people that are put out in front of us and we want to look
Right.
like that. But if it was
Right.
easy, everyone would be doing it.
Exactly. And that's what makes the world what it is, because we're all unique.
Oh, and yeah, and here's the thing. The other thing I love is choose your hard.
Oh yeah.
Choose your hard. Like, if you want anything, the truth of the matter is it's hard.
Right.
So you get to pick. Is it harder to do the work and have the root growing months and not fall off the Indiana Jones bridge? Or is it harder to settle for a life of regret,
Right.
which is harder? You get to
And
pick.
yeah.
And being
in
unhappy,
misery, right?
right? Feeling, even if you're like feeling unfulfilled, having jobs you don't like which is harder. You get to absolutely pick.
Exactly.
Non-judgmental. You get to pick.
Right. And I say that all the time too, especially to my kids. Like, it's your decision. You get to make that decision, but you need to then
You're
deal
like-
with that decision.
Right. And I think our roles as mentors is to shorten your learning curve.
Right.
Make it easier for you. And this
Right.
is the other thing that I want, like, choose your heart. You can invest financially in the people who can shorten your learning curve and help you get the outcome you want, or you can do it yourself and struggle for longer, which
Right.
truthfully is more expensive.
Exactly. Right. So invest in Erin.
That's in what, like, me, you, like, whatever is,
Whatever it is. Right.
I will promise you, I am not for everybody.
Oh, well, yeah, exactly.
But for the people who are ready, oh my God. And then for me, I get to watch that happen for people.
Right. Right.
It's amazing. It's amazing that we get to do this.
Right. Love what we do.
Yeah. It was a
Yeah.
weird path. It was
Oh,
not
yeah.
a straight path, but grateful beyond reason that this is where it landed.
Right. It's a beautiful thing. Like, it was a struggle, maybe going through, the peaks and valleys, right? But
Still is
when you look-
sometimes.
yeah, when you look back, it's a beautiful journey.
Absolutely. And it's only looking back when it finally makes sense.
Right.
And so you have to have, that's the other piece. That's a really good point. It only makes sense in the rear view mirror.
Right.
And so it's just blind faith and trust, whether that's in yourself or whomever in the moment. Because
Right.
I will promise, you don't feel that all you're doing is growing roots. This is great. That's not how that feels in the moment.
Right.
We know this. This is not how that feels in the moment. So it's not just the resilience and the persistence and the tenacity, but it's also the abject trust and faith and belief that the outcome is doable, possible, and inevitable, regardless of what's happening today. I just saw that somewhere. I'm rereading Atomic Habits. And in that book, I think he even says, like, the habits are using the bridge analogy, right? Being able to change your habits, where you are now and what you're doing now doesn't have to determine anything about the future.
Exactly. Because we get to choose.
You get to choose. And then you just go to work.
Right. Right. I love it. Well, thank you so much. There's so much more we can talk about.
Well, you're going to be on my podcast. We'll just
I'm going to be a guest
to
on Erin's
rewatch
podcast, and I would love to do a special podcast to talk about the marketing approach and all the other great nuggets that
we'll get some
that you bring to your clients.
Yeah.
So,
happy to. Would love to.
We need to plan that. But thank you so much for being here and sharing your journey and the analogies, because I'm a very, very visual person, and I use the foundation visual for myself as in building a house, right? Yeah. But I love the tree because my logo is the tree, right? So why not use a tree analogy, right?
There you go.
So thank you for that.
You're absolutely welcome. I love it. I love it. And all of our gardening conversations. So
yes, absolutely. Oh yeah, we need to catch up on that as well. But thank you so much, Erin, for being here. If someone wants to get in contact you, what's the best way?
We make it really easy. It's conqueryourbusiness.com. It's all there. All the links are there. Get a hold of me, find me on. So it's all in one place, conqueryourbusiness.com.
Thank you again, Erin.
Thank you. Thank you.
Pleasure. So to our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. I know there were many nuggets there to take away from this episode of Pathways to Profitability. Check out all of our episodes. There's the website, pathwaystoprofitability.com. And thank you for being a loyal listener. Have a wonderful day.
That's it for today's episode of Pathways to Profitability. Remember to ask yourself, where can I pay my success forward today?